She was only 6 years old, and she had just buried her father. Moments after returning to their quiet New Jersey home from the cemetery, 6-year-old Sophia Miller was dragged onto the freezing front porch by her stepmother, Karen. Karen's new lover, Sophia's own Uncle Rob, stood by, smoking. "This is to wash away the bad luck you bring," Karen sneered, before emptying a bucket of ice-cold water over the child's head. Sophia, clutching her only possession, a worn teddy bear, collapsed, shivering uncontrollably. Neighbors peeked through their blinds but did nothing. Just as the door slammed shut, a gleaming black Cadillac Escalade screeched to a halt at the curb. A powerful, wealthy man stepped out. He saw the scene and his face hardened. He was Alex Mason, her father's estranged best friend, a man who built an empire from nothing. He immediately wrapped his own expensive wool coat around the child's tiny, trembling body. He looked up at the couple staring from the window, his eyes like steel, and uttered a single phrase that would ignite a legal firestorm, a battle where the wicked would be forced to pay for every last one of their sins. What city are you watching this video from, and what time is it? By the way, if you're enjoying my videos, I'd be so happy if you could subscribe to my channel and like this video. The heavy wooden door had slammed shut behind the small group returning from the funeral. The house was so quiet. The ticking of the grandfather clock in the foyer echoed like a hammer blow. Sophia Miller, age 6, clutched a frayed teddy bear to her chest, her eyes red and swollen from crying. The bear was the last gift her mother had given her before dying in a car crash years ago. And now her father, Richard Miller, a successful tech entrepreneur and a loving dad, was gone too, taken by a sudden, aggressive illness. Inside the sprawling suburban home, Sophia felt small enough to disappear. Karen Hill, 35, the woman who had married her father just 2 years prior, had spent the morning at the cemetery performing a theater of grief, dabbing at non-existent tears. The second the door locked, her face twisted into a mask of cold fury. Her eyes landed on Sophia not with compassion, but as if looking at an irritating stain. Can I help clean the house, Mom?" Sophia whispered, her voice trembling. Karen let out a bitter laugh. "From now on, I am the owner of this house. I make the decisions. Don't you dare play the innocent little victim to gain my pity." Sophia froze, hugging the bear tighter. At that moment, the door opened again. A man swaggered in, dropping a suitcase heavily on the floor. It was Robert "Rob" Vance, 38, Richard's younger brother. To most, Rob was a leech, a man who had lived his entire life in Richard's shadow. Today, however, he walked in with an air of ownership. He collapsed into a chair, opened a bottle of bourbon from the sideboard, and took a long drink. He looked Sophia up and down and sneered. "Well, hello, Sophia. Guess I'll be filling your useless father's shoes around here." Sophia shrank back. "Uncle Rob? This is my daddy's house." Karen's voice was sharp and cruel, each word a slap. "Your father is dead, do you understand? In this house, I decide who stays. And my man is Rob. From this moment on, you have no right to speak here. You either shut your mouth or you get out." Sophia stared, fresh tears welling. Rob let out a dismissive laugh. "Look at you. Just a pathetic little parasite. All you do is cry and cling to that disgusting raggedy bear. Your father was a fool for spoiling you. You're not a princess. You're just a burden we're finally free of." "I'll be good." Sophia trembled, clutching the bear. "I won't be a bother." Suddenly, Karen snapped. A cruel light gleamed in her eyes. She grabbed Sophia by the arm, snatched the small suitcase that already held a few of the girl's worn clothes, and yanked the teddy bear from Sophia's arms, throwing it onto the wet porch. "Out of my house," Karen screamed, dragging Sophia toward the door where the bucket of ice water waited. "I am sick of pretending to be your mother." "You're a jinx! Your mother died, your father died. It's all your fault! I need to wash the filth you bring off this property." "No, Mom, please," Sophia cried, the cold air hitting her. "I'm cold. I promise I'll be good." "Don't you dare call me Mom." Karen seethed, grabbing the bucket. "I will never accept a useless parasite like you." "Get out!" She hurled the bucket of frigid water directly onto Sophia. The water soaked her thin dress and hair, shocking the air from her lungs. She began to shake violently. The teddy bear lay soaked on the pavement, crushed under Rob's shoe as he crossed his arms and mocked her. "Look at her." Rob laughed. "No different than a drowned stray dog." "Suits her." Sophia collapsed, her hands clasped, looking desperately at the neighboring houses. Curtains twitched, but doors remained shut. No one dared to intervene. Sophia crawled to her ruined bear, her tears mixing with the icy water on her face. Her voice, raw, broke the silence. "Daddy, where am I supposed to go?" That's when Alex Mason, who had just pulled up, strode forward, his voice tight with controlled fury. What is happening here? He had built an empire from nothing, but few knew that behind the success was a childhood of horrific abuse, saved only by the kindness of one person. The gate swung open. Alex walked onto the porch, his tailored suit jacket flapping in the wind. He slowly removed his wool overcoat and draped it over Sophia's shoulders. The small body beneath it trembled, absorbing the warmth. Sophia looked up, her tear-stained eyes shining with a fragile, terrified hope. Alex gently squeezed her shoulder, then lifted his head. His voice was low, but it carried, each word pressed flat with rage. "Richard has been in the ground for less than a day. Is this how you treat his daughter?" Karen flinched. A single, practiced tear rolled down her cheek. "You misunderstand, Alex. I was just teaching her to behave. The girl is stubborn, disrespectful to her uncle. I was just scaring her a little." Rob blew cigarette smoke in Alex's direction. "I'm her uncle. I suggest you stay out of family business. You were late to the funeral and now you want to play hero? This doesn't concern you." A cold flash flickered in Alex's eyes. The memories surged. When he was 15, beaten and hiding under a table from his stepfather, it was Richard Miller, the same friend now lying in a coffin, who had pulled him out. Richard had given him a safe place to sleep, a true friendship. Standing here, Alex knew it was time to repay that debt. Sophia tugged on his sleeve, her voice a desperate whisper. "Mister, they're going to throw me out again. I have nowhere to go. Please help me." Alex looked at her. The terror in Sophia's eyes was the same terror he once wore in his own. He took a deep breath and faced Karen and Rob. "She comes with me," he said firmly. Karen's eyes gleamed with malice, but Rob put a hand on her arm, his voice a low sneer. "Let him take her. The brat will come crawling back soon enough." Karen forced a twisted smile. "Fine, you want to be a hero, Alex? Let's see how long you can stand her. She's nothing but bad luck." Alex didn't reply. He simply bent down, lifted Sophia into his arms, and walked straight out the gate. The Escalade's door opened and closed softly behind them. Inside the warm luxury vehicle, Sophia sat rigidly, her small hand still clutching the wet teddy bear. Her large eyes were wide with fear. "Mister," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Are you going to leave me too? Like she did?" Alex gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white. Outside, the rows of suburban trees blurred past. Inside his chest, old memories twisted, nights spent trembling by a window, waiting for a hand that never came. He swallowed, his gaze fixed on the road, merging onto the highway toward Manhattan. He didn't say a word. Only the steady hum of the engine filled the silence, and the tension in his hands trembled so hard that Sophia could feel it. The car descended into the private underground garage of a sleek Manhattan high-rise. Alex parked in his reserved spot and came around to open Sophia's door. He placed a warm hand on her shoulder, guiding her through the lobby. The doorman, Mr. Perez, gave a slight nod, his eyes lingering on the child's soaked clothes, but Alex's severe expression stopped any questions. The elevator opened directly into the penthouse. It was spacious, minimalist, and immaculate. The silence was absolute. "Sit here a moment," Alex said, his voice softer now. He returned with a soft towel and one of his own small cashmere sweaters. "Go get cleaned up." When she emerged from the bathroom, her hair toweled dry, the oversized sweater swallowing her, she looked even smaller. Alex had heated a bowl of chicken soup and placed it on the kitchen island. Sophia stared at it, then pushed the bowl back slightly. "I'll only eat a little. I don't want to get in trouble." Alex was silent for a moment. He pulled a stool up opposite her, his voice steady. "Here, you don't have to ask permission to exist." Sophia blinked, as if waiting for the catch. "You eat when you're hungry," Alex continued. "You sleep when you're tired. No one will punish you for that." She picked up the spoon, blew gently, and took a tiny sip. She ate slowly, darting nervous glances at him. When the bowl was half empty, she set the spoon down. "You don't hate me, do you?" Alex paused. "No one has the right to hate a child for existing." "They said I was bad luck," she whispered. "You are Richard's daughter. And you are yourself. You are not defined by their cruelty." He took her to the guest room, the bed already turned down. He placed a small moon-shaped nightlight on the table. "Do you want to call anyone?" Sophia shook her head, clutching her bear, and crawled under the covers. Her eyes stung, but she forced the tears back. After a while, a small sob escaped, no louder than the wind. "Mommy, Daddy, why did you leave me with them?" Alex sat outside her door, his back against the wall, hands clasped. He just listened. The quiet sobs eventually faded into the steady breathing of exhausted sleep. His own eyes were red. Old fragments of memory stirred. A little boy counting the footsteps of a drunken man in the hall, swallowing his own cries so he wouldn't be found. Richard had pulled that boy out. Richard had given him something solid to hold on to. Alex looked at the door. He would not let history repeat itself. He went back to the kitchen, opened his laptop, and wrote a brief email to his attorney, William Mendoza. He made a list. Confirm the legal status of temporary guardianship, contact Sophia's school, find a child psychologist, and make the inevitable call to Karen. As he worked, a faint sound came from the guest room. Sophia had moved in her sleep, and the teddy bear had fallen softly against the bed frame. From deep within its worn cotton stuffing, there was a faint, fragile click, like metal lightly brushing metal. It was gone as quickly as it came. Sophia was asleep. Alex didn't hear it. The apartment sank back into silence, guarding a secret not yet ready to be revealed. The next morning, Alex was cleaning the soup bowls when Sophia emerged barefoot, already dragging her folded blanket out of habit. "Tío Alex," she said, using the Spanish word she must have used for him before. "The bear is broken." She held it up. A small seam on the bear's ear was loose. She had been picking at it. "I pulled," she whispered. "And this was inside." She opened her tiny hand. Sitting in her palm was a silver USB flash drive, no bigger than her fingertip. Alex stopped, his blood running cold. He took the drive. "Do you want to see what's on it together?" She nodded. He sat at the kitchen island, plugged the drive into his laptop, and the screen showed a single audio file, dated 1 year ago. He pressed play. Richard's voice, weak and shaky, filled the kitchen. "Rob, what's this medicine?" "I don't need it. When I take it, my heart races." "Karen, where did you get this?" Then Rob's voice, cold and flat. "The doctor prescribed it." "Just take it. You're weak. Stop being paranoid." A tense silence. And then Karen's voice, whispering, dangerously close to the microphone. "Just let him drink more." "Let him die already." Alex gripped the edge of the counter. Sophia blinked rapidly, and then she burst into tears, the question she could no longer hold back exploding out of her. They poisoned my daddy?" Alex placed his hand gently over hers. He kept his voice low and steady. "Your father didn't want you to live in fear. He left you the truth. He knew." She sobbed into the bear's fur. "Daddy knew what they were doing." "Perhaps," Alex said, his mind racing. "He knew he wouldn't survive. He trusted someone would protect you and this evidence. Today I will." He rewound the file, listening. He saved 3 copies. One to his hard drive, one to a secure cloud, and one to a separate encrypted drive. "Tío Alex," she whispered. "If they find out, they'll take the USB, won't they?" "No one can take it from you now," Alex said, his gaze firm. He dialed his phone. "Mendoza," he said when the voice answered. "It's Alex, I need you today. There is audio evidence related to a poisoning and a family dispute. And bring your best." Professor William Mendoza was a lion of the New York bar. He hung up after a simple instruction. "Keep everything as it is. Protect the child first." That afternoon, Alex's phone began to explode. News alerts, gossip sites, and online comments. A photo of Karen, standing in front of the New Jersey house, her eyes red, holding a black and white portrait of Richard, was everywhere. The headline scrolled across the screen. "Millionaire mogul Alex Mason kidnaps heiress to seize family assets." Alex muted the screen. He poured Sophia a glass of milk. Finish this. Then we're going to the library. They entered the vast, quiet hall of the New York Public Library. At the research desk, a young woman looked up. Her name tag read, Emily Clark, Digital Archives. How can I help you today? She asked. Alex placed a thin folder on the counter. A copy of Richard's will, the stock registry papers, and Richard's treatment calendar. We need to verify the authenticity of these, dates, and any irregularities. Emily's fingers flew across the keyboard, accessing corporate databases and hospital public records. Then her eyes stopped. Here, she said, turning the screen. The stock transfer agreement. It's dated March 14th, Alex tensed. The day Richard was admitted to the hospital the second time. Emily nodded, pulling up another file. Hospital records confirm he was under heavy sedation for 48 hours starting that morning. The signature on this contract, it couldn't have been his. She printed 2 copies, stapling them, and marking the time discrepancy with a red pen. Sophia's voice was a whisper. You believe me, don't you? I'm not lying. Emily looked her right in the eyes. I believe you, and I will help you. As they left the library, the afternoon breeze swept the street. Alex guided Sophia across the crosswalk, his mind already on the next step. He knew Karen and Rob wouldn't stop at a smear campaign. Night fell as they returned to the penthouse. In the elevator, Sophia leaned her head against his arm, her breathing finally even. The elevator doors opened. Alex paused for half a second. Across the street, half hidden in the shadows of an alcove, a dark sedan was parked. Its headlights flashed once, then went dark. A deliberate signal. Alex hurried Sophia inside, locked the door, and went to the balcony, looking down. In the driver's seat, Rob Vance held a cigarette, the cherry glowing in the dark. He tilted his head back, as if he knew exactly which apartment window was lit. The 2 men stared at each other across the silent distance. Alex didn't back down. He drew the curtain, made a quick call to building security, and sent Mendoza a single text. They followed us home. Before we continue, please take a moment to leave a comment about this story and rate it from 1 to 10. How are you feeling? If there's anything you'd like to share, I'm always here to listen. I hope you find a moment of peace and reflection as you follow this healing story and its journey of courage and justice. Alex drew the curtains, his heart pounding with a protective fury he hadn't felt since his own youth. He immediately called Mendoza. They're escalating. They're outside the building. I need protection for the girl, and I need to move fast. I'll file for an emergency protection order. Mendoza's calm voice replied. But Alex, the media narrative is against you. They're painting you as a predator. We need witnesses to the abuse. We need more than the recording. We need to dismantle their entire story. The next morning, Alex left Sophia with the trusted doorman, Mr. Perez, and drove back to the New Jersey suburbs. He found the house where it happened. He rang the bell of the next-door neighbor, apartment 2B. The door opened a crack, revealing an older woman with terrified eyes, Mrs. Dora Evans. I'm a friend of Richard's, Alex said gently, holding up a business card. I need to know what you saw yesterday. Dora's hand trembled on the door chain. I saw it, she whispered, her voice shaking. I saw them. They dragged that poor child onto the porch. Karen. She held a bucket. She doused her with water. And Rob, he just laughed. I wanted to call 911, but I was scared. They're dangerous. You're right to be scared, Alex said, his voice firm. But if you stay silent, Sophia will never be free. I will protect you. My lawyer will ensure you are safe. Dora looked at him for a long moment, then unhooked the chain. I'll tell the truth. Richard was a good man. What they did to that child, it was evil. Alex then canvassed the area, finding the local homeless man, Frank, who often slept in the alley behind the expensive homes. Alex bought him a hot coffee and a meal. I'm Richard's friend. Did you see what happened at his house yesterday? Frank, a veteran whose eyes had seen too much, nodded slowly. Saw it all. Dragged her like she was a sack of trash. Heard her crying, telling them she'd be good. I wanted to step in, but Rob, he looked at me like he'd kill me. I ain't got nothing to lose. That kid don't deserve to live like us. I'll speak. Alex gave him Mendoza's card. My lawyer will be in touch. We go to court soon. He returned to the penthouse with a renewed sense of purpose, but the battle had only just begun. That night, his phone rang. It was a frantic call from Dora. "They know," she cried. "Someone threw a brick through my kitchen window." There was a note. It said, "Keep your mouth shut." Before Alex could even process it, another call came from a volunteer at a local shelter. Frank was attacked. 3 men. They beat him badly, told him to stay quiet. Alex slammed his fist on his desk. This wasn't just greed. It was violent intimidation. He told Mendoza, who immediately filed for witness protection and informed the judge of the escalation. But the attacks gave Alex a terrible, sinking feeling. This level of violence, it felt familiar. He remembered Richard complaining years ago after his first wife, Sophia's mother, had died in that tragic car crash. "It's strange," Richard had said. "Rob was the last one to use the car. He said he was just taking it for maintenance." At the time, Alex had dismissed it as grief. Now it felt like a clue. Working through the night, Alex used his connections to pull the original police report and the maintenance records for the vehicle. The report noted brake failure, but Alex, digging deeper, found the car's old service logs from a high-end dealership. He sent them to an automotive forensic engineer. The call came back at 3 a.m. "Mr. Mason, this is fascinating," the engineer said. "The brakes were fine, but the logs show abnormal override entries to the BCM, the car's central computer. Someone with sophisticated knowledge bypassed the traction control and engine management system, forcing incorrect commands. It wasn't an accident. This was electronic sabotage. It's untraceable unless you know exactly what to look for." Alex felt the blood drain from his face. Rob. He was always boasting about his tech skills, how he could hack anything. It wasn't one murder. It was 2. Rob hadn't just poisoned his brother. He had murdered his brother's wife to make way for Karen. "Mendoza," Alex said, his voice ice cold. "We have everything. Burn them to the ground." The next morning, they walked into the New York County Family Court. The hallway was a media circus. Karen, dressed in black, was sobbing into a handkerchief, performing for the cameras. Rob stood beside her, playing the part of the grieving, protective uncle. "We just want our niece back," Karen cried to a reporter. "That man, Alex Mason, he's a monster. He's trying to steal her inheritance." Inside the courtroom, Judge Patricia Coleman presided, her expression severe. Karen's lawyer, Mr. Chavez, stood first. "Your Honor, my client, Mrs. Karen Hill, is a desperate guardian. This child was forcibly removed from her home by Mr. Alex Mason, a powerful billionaire with clear financial motives. This is kidnapping, plain and simple." Alex remained standing, his voice cutting through the room. "Your Honor, this child was subjected to systematic psychological and physical abuse. She was dragged outside in freezing weather and doused with water like an animal. I have witnesses. Bring them," the judge ordered. Dora Evans, visibly shaking but resolute, took the stand. She recounted the ice water incident. Frank, his face bruised but his voice strong, corroborated her story, adding, "They laughed, Your Honor. They laughed while she begged." Chavez tried to discredit them. "A nosy neighbor and a homeless drunk. Hardly credible." "They are credible," Mendoza interrupted, "because their reports of intimidation, a brick through the window, a severe beating, have already been filed with the police. They are risking their lives to tell the truth," the courtroom murmured. The judge silenced them. Mendoza placed the silver USB drive on the table. "Your Honor, this is an audio recording, recovered from a device hidden inside the child's teddy bear by her late father." He pressed play. The room fell silent as Richard's weak voice filled the air, followed by Rob's cold dismissal and Karen's chilling whisper. "Just let him drink more." "Let him die already," Karen let out a gasp. Rob jumped to his feet. "That's a fake." "It's fabricated. He's a tech billionaire. He could have faked that." "We anticipated that claim," Mendoza said calmly. "I have here a verified forensic analysis of the file's metadata, confirming its creation date and that it has not been tampered with. It is authentic." He then placed the stock transfer documents on the desk. "And this, Your Honor, is the stock transfer agreement, which gave Ms. Hill and Mr. Vance controlling interest in Mr. Miller's company. It was allegedly signed by Richard Miller on March 14th. As the librarian from the NYPL, Ms. Emily Clark will testify. Hospital records show Mr. Miller was under heavy sedation and intubated on that date. He was physically incapable of signing anything. The judge looked at the documents, her eyes narrowing. This indicates profound fraud. We are not finished, Mendoza said, his voice dropping. We also have reason to believe Mr. Vance is responsible for the death of Sophia's mother years ago. A shockwave went through the court. Mendoza presented the automotive forensic report. This report details how the vehicle's computer system was deliberately sabotaged. Not brake failure, a targeted electronic attack. And we have records showing Mr. Rob Vance was the last person to use that vehicle, under the guise of taking it for maintenance. Rob Vance's composure finally shattered. He lunged, not at Alex, but at Karen. You! He screamed. This was your idea. You pushed me! Liar! Karen shrieked back. You wanted it all. You said she was in the way. The judge slammed her gavel. Order, order. I have heard enough. She looked at Karen and Rob, her face a mask of utter contempt. The evidence of abuse, fraud, witness intimidation, and conspiracy to commit murder is overwhelming. This court is issuing an immediate emergency order placing Sophia Miller in the temporary sole custody of Mr. Alex Mason, pending a permanent hearing. She turned to the court officers. Officers, detain Ms. Hill and Mr. Vance. The findings of this court will be transferred immediately to the district attorney's office to pursue criminal charges for fraud, aggravated assault, and 2 counts of first-degree murder. As the officers moved in, flashing cameras erupted. Karen collapsed, sobbing hysterically, while Rob, exposed and defeated, remained frozen in stone-cold silence. Sophia, who had watched it all from a protected room, burst into tears and ran into Alex's arms. He held her tight, burying his face in her hair. It's over, Sophia. You're safe. In the months that followed, Alex won permanent guardianship. Karen and Rob were convicted on all charges, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Alex, fulfilling his promise to Richard, used the frozen assets to buy the old New Jersey house, a place of nightmares, and gutted it. He poured his own money into transforming it. 1 year later, they stood on the porch, but it was no longer a place of fear. A new wooden sign hung above the door, the lighthouse, a community center for children in need. Dora Evans was there, serving cookies. Frank, now clean and sober, was the center's new custodian. Emily Clark managed the free library inside. Sophia, now 7, looked up at Alex, her eyes bright and clear. She tugged on his hand. They used to call me bad luck, she said quietly. You were never bad luck, Sophia, Alex said, kneeling to look her in the eyes. You were just waiting for your light. She wrapped her small arms around his neck. No, she whispered, her voice sure and steady for the first time. I was waiting for you, Dad. Alex closed his eyes, his arms holding her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. He had come to repay a debt to his old friend, but in saving Sophia, he had found the one thing his empire could never buy, a family.